Hey guys, welcome to the MC Anime Podcast. We cover anime, geek culture, Japanese aesthetics, and Asian studies. We are a multi-fandom podcast, and you can expect to hear topics in your favorite hobby or fandom activity potentially. You can find MC Anime on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Also, please check out mcanimepodcast.com, our website. Furthermore, stay tuned in for another episode.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of MC Anime today. And today is going to be a special episode discussing server management, drawing, and digital design. This is from the perspective of my cover art designer for MC Anime. The podcast format is going to be specifically question and answer or Q&A style. So I ask a question, they respond with an answer, and that's how this particular episode is going to be organized. So yes, there's going to be a little bit less speaking time than usual for my half, but I'm willing to sacrifice that for this particular episode. And further ado, let's get started with the questions today. So before I ask, my experience with Discord server management has been interesting. I've owned a Discord server. I've managed that server, lost that server. Then be working for other servers as staff, like tournament organizer, moderator, chat moderator, even administrator to some degree. And it's really fun, and you get different experiences with it. There was one particular server I joined. I had to do an application. Funny story is, that application, I failed like 25 times. I had to keep resubmitting it every single time. It was taking so long to do it. But when I did it, I felt so achieved. So yeah, that was like way over a year ago. But it was fun. But anyway, question 1. Describe your experience with servers.
I'm an admin in BRG and staff team in Dwelling Nexus server.
Now, when you run communities or groups, you have to run it in a way that is best for that particular group. If you have one group that is a card game and one group is a video game, you have to see which channels you need to add and how you're going to operate it. So question 2 is what is the most efficient way to manage a community or a group on social media?
For Discord server, it's all about activity and keep it healthy.
Now, I have experience with groups outside of Discord. For example, I was the moderator for the largest anime community on Facebook. It reached 1 million people. It was called Anime Monk, and it was kind of an exclusive role that was a lot of stuff to do, a lot of stuff to approve, report this, report that. This is how the community was set up with Facebook regulations. So yeah, that was my experience with groups outside of Discord. So question 3, what groups have you managed outside of Discord?
In school project, yes.
Alright. My experience with logos is pretty simple. I've had 2 variations of the NC Anime logo. One was I made myself, different colors. We have the Japanese flag, Gundam head, Dragon Ball, Pikachu, My Neighbor Totoro, a gateway in Japanese, the One Piece flag, the flag on the actual ship from One Piece, the Jolly Roger flag. And then we also have a comics style. And then the other one recently that I had was the MC Anime logo with headphones and a colorful palette to give tribute to the old logo. So question 4 relates to what is it like to design banners and logos?
It started as a hobby, then taking a degree for it. It's fun creating your own art.
Alright, so server management for me, the most challenging aspect was probably maybe the different tasks and with working for different people, because different servers had different people within it. Some working with the staff to be unionized. So question 5, in your personal opinion, what is the most challenging aspect of server management?
The most challenging aspect on server management is to grow it and maintain its activity while keeping the healthy environment up.
Climbing up in a server. If you're not already staff and you want to be staff, see when the staff might have applications open to be staff. If you're not staff already, ask the owner to see if they would have applications available for you to apply to be staff. And then from there, once you staff, you climb the ladder of the highest level above you, and so on and so on. So question 6, explain how you climb up in a server if you're not already staff. And this means that you are a group member, not staff.
I am in fact started as a nobody. Bring for example is me asking up to play a tech game on Nexus where I meet Empress there.
Design, you can do anything with it. So this brings on to question 7. Design wise, what is your ideal style when it comes to drawing and digital design?
Design wise, I like futuristic design, clean and simple, not too messy, and the message is straightforward.
Question 8, how does drawing impact server designs and artwork?
It doesn't give a huge impact. Any server can run just fine, but having a theme where you can customize your own sticker, emojis, banner, and exclusive logo is better than the rest. If you like your server to be stand out, get some designer team.
I can answer this. How do you make your own server? Well, it's pretty easy to make your own server. You make your own server. If you use Discord, for example, go to add Discord server and then create your own server, or you can start from a template. Gaming, school club, study group, friends, artist and curator, local community, all that stuff. And then once you design it, you give it a name, you give it a logo, you add people to the group, because a successful server, you need people to be added. When I did MC Anime Discord group, I added only the people that were necessary at the time to be added. It's not a public group, it's a private group. And when you also make a group, you have to distinguish between public and private as well. But that goes back to this question. Question 9. Ideally, how do you make your own server?
I have my own server. It's nice and neat, not too messy, and filled with my friends only. If it's a server that including a community, I would like to have chat moderators and admin for the important part. The rest can be added later.
Well, what kind of staff do you need to operate a community? Well, you need people in a position that is qualified, that has experience in order to make the server very successful. So those are the type of staff you need. That's from my perspective. Now you're going to hear from Liz's perspective. Question 10. What staff do you need to successfully operate in the community scene?
A good administrator is one way to have a successful server.
Oh, what's it like to be in charge of others? Being in charge of others can actually be difficult at times because now you have to separate yourself from friend and foe. Yes, that person could be your friend in direct messages, in the private, outside of the group, but inside the group you have to enforce the rules, and if that such friend broke the rules, you cannot show favoritism. So this brings question 11. What is it like to be in charge and instructing others to do specific tasks?
It feels nothing. When I am an admin in BRG, I do almost everything, and doing everything is tiring. So I'm hiring other staff to help me to ease my burden. So it's more like I'm being thankful. So they listen and can actually do the job I assign.
Alright, good staff. You need good staff in order to carry out the server duties. That's what I have to say. This brings me to question 12. What is expected of good staff?
Good staff is someone who can openly talk about others' mistake, able to admitting his mistake and learn and get the task done.
Easy. Server rules and TOS. If your group has like 10 different rules, follow those rules, stick to the book, and especially if you have a TOS policy like no spam, no hatred, no explicit content, you need to follow whatever the website hosting as well. So you have your rules and you have TOS, you enforce both that you make, and by enforcing both, you stay consistent in the enforcement of those policies that the server has or TOS of the face of the website. So question 13. How do you enforce server rules in the TOS policies associated with the website?
Server rules and TOS are different. TOS always applies to all server and its member, while server rules is made by the owner and the admin. This is the job for the chat moderators. They will have the power to mute and give any member that violating any rules a timeout. Other staff is also able to do this if they are present.
Question 14. When did you discover that you can draw? What age did you discover it? Like, please explain the situation, how it happened.
Can't remember, everyone can draw, but not everyone can do it well. And I'm start from nothing too, but drawing is always fun for me. And without realizing it, I already improved so much and draw decently now.
So art design, I have an interesting perspective because I see Liz as the MC Anime cover art designer, and I see how she does it. She ends up giving me a really great product, and I have to give input into what I want. So my perspective is not the designer, but actually the customer. The customer, describes what they want, and the designer puts it on paper or digital design and puts a layout, put it all together for the finished product. So this brings me to question 15. What about art design that you like the most?
A simple yet majestic design.
I mean, I think myself as creative. When I did like cover art posters for my blogs, they were very amateur. So that's why I have a cover art designer, because it helps with consistency, and it's really, if you're not good at it, it really takes away from the brand of MC Anime Podcast. So this brings us to question 16. Let's say I'm a creative individual, at least I think I am. How would someone apply that as a design team member?
Being creative is a good for artists. Not so sure if just being creative is enough to be a designer.
Question 17. Can you explain your inspirations to art and drawing?
A lot, honestly. The online sites such as Pixiv, Japanese music video, there's so much out there that could make me like, hey, I can do that too, and I actually doing it.
Well, let's see. Stands out in the art business. If you stand out in the art business, then you have a particular skill set that distinguishes yourself from other people. So that is my perspective. If you do shading really well on tattoos, for example, then your expertise could be shading, doing that line work, and doing like maybe traditional tattoos, shapes, and basic stuff like that. So this brings me to question 18. What makes you stand out in the art business?
Nothing. I don't feel like being standing out from the others. I'm just a nobody.
Let's see. Simply by drawing, how do you make money? Well, when you sell the art, typically you make money by commissions. So that's one way in the art business to make money. So this brings me to my question. In what capacity can you make money by simply drawing a picture or designing cover art?
A good artist could be happily in companies such as game, magazine company, comic industry, freelancing, and many more.
Alright, interesting aspect, problems in the management of the server. Managing others and directing them in a right path because it's really difficult. So yeah, that is one aspect of trying to solve and reach a solution. So this brings me to question 20. What is one interesting aspect in trying to solve the problems of people in management of a server?
It's about the difference in vision. Sometimes one have different opinion on the server than the others.
Favorite pastime. My favorite pastime would probably be sharing my opinion about anime, geek culture, and Japanese aesthetics, since why I host MC Anime Podcast. So this brings me to question 21. What is your favorite pastime?
I usually watch anime and play some games when I'm free.
Work life, social, and volunteering. I separate work life, socially, and volunteering in different capacities. When I work, I work. That's simple. You can't get around that. When I social, I like to hang out with friends, call people. That's my free time. Now, when I'm volunteering, like for example on a Discord server, I have to spend time on that Discord server, answer questions, but also enforce what my mandates are. So if I'm hosting a tournament on this particular day at this particular time, I need to manage my time well enough to be able to do that consistently. So this brings me to question 22. How do you balance the work life, social life, and the volunteer life when it comes to server management?
Happen at the same time, I have to manage working, managing servers, while also interacting with the people online for my social life.
Taking by granted. When you're in a server management role, a lot of times people take it for granted, take you as staff for granted, because you don't get paid most of the time when you're staff. So they take for granted your time, but also your involvement in the server. They pretend that, oh, you're just a lazy person because you don't do nothing. Because what they don't see is that you do a lot of stuff behind the scenes. So that's what they take for granted is the Discord maintenance, creating the channels, all the pruning of members, managing roles, messages, enforcing policies, rules, all that, kicking people out, banning people. That is what we do. So this brings me to question 23. What is one situation about server management, personally for you, that's taken for granted by the server members?
Sometimes people underestimate the rules and taking it lightly, or even not reading it at all, which could lead to a ban, and which later they claim the ban to be biased, while it's not.
When I'm in leadership position for me is very interesting. It's a heartfelt commitment to the server. I'm very active, and that's usually when I'm most active is when I'm in a staff position. So yes, when I'm in a leadership position, I take it very seriously and try to do my due diligence, as I call it. So this brings me to question 24. How are you to describe yourself when you're in a leadership position as a staff member?
Clearly, to work together with other staff, leading them together to manage the server, not to bossing around only.
Question 25. What made you like the designing process, especially on digital?
It's a hobby. I like drawing since I'm still little and still can't stop even now.
Time you had no help. Time I had no help. Well, I guess when I was running tournaments for a particular Discord server, I was the only one doing it for the entire month. So I really had to, 4 days a week, host all these tournaments that I was running at the time. That was stressful. That was when I was by myself, no help. So this brings me to question 26. What is a time that you felt that you had no help? And if so, please specify what it was that you had no help with.
It's when the other staff members are giving up, when they are just don't care about the server anymore. Nothing else can I do about it.
I see myself in a slight designing field if I'm in mass communications, but other than that, I'm not really in a designing field as a career too much, unless I'm in multimedia, but that's different. This brings me to question 27. Where do you see yourself in a possible art or slash designing career?
No clue, I'm still going to wherever wind carry me.
Where did I get more practice? I'm going to be simple. I get more practice in my craft of podcasting by simply doing it, and doing it again. Practice makes perfect. And the time I do it is when I host episodes and just take my responsibility as a host. Every episode I do puts me higher than the previous episode. Practice makes perfect. I can't really say any more than that. So this brings me to question 28. What are you going to do to get more practice in the craft of designing / server management?
In crafting, I don't usually craft something, but if I need it to be, I will learn a couple of tricks online and do my own style on it.
Running several servers at once. When you're obligated as staff in multiple servers, you have to balance your time and respond to the pings, respond to members asking questions, staff asking you questions, stuff like that. And commit on deadlines that staff higher than you have given you, so remember that. So this brings me to question 29. What is it like to run multiple servers at once?
It's fair, each server have their own unique stuff, so it's not that much different. Even some staff are also be the staff on other server, so it's kinda the same.
How do you define yourself as staff in the community? Me as staff, I take it very hands-on. I like the practical approach. I like to be involved. I like to try to be active, talk with the people, be there friend outside of the server. If I have that capacity, I can try to do that. Help them out. You know, separate myself as friend and DMs, and then when I'm in the server, I have to enforce server policies. So I have to be upfront about that. Um, so this brings me to question 30. How would people define you, specifically you, as staff in the community?
I am CEO owner and high level staff in other servers.
I don't know. Favorite server activity. I guess my favorite server activity is, I don't know, making roles, giving them permissions, and actually do all the maintenance. The maintenance is pretty fun and keeping up with it. This brings me to question 31. What is your favorite server activity to do and why?
In BRG, we used to have faction wars and tournament, while in Dueling Nexus, we have this mini game that happen in special days. It's fun.
A bad server and a good server. I'm just going to say this. A bad server has bad staff. A good server, most of the time, has good staff. That's what my response will be. So this brings me to question 32. What separates a bad server and a good server, and what is the difference between those two servers?
In rules and its people, a good server have a good rules and people that could enforcing it, keeping the server healthy from trolls and racists. Yes, a lot of other bad servers just don't care about that and it's toxic.
Conflict resolution. Very interesting topic. How you solve conflict determines how you run a server. It directly says, if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. Also, if you can't solve people's problems, then you should not be running a server. Simple, bottom line, that's what you have to take from this. So, question 33. What is your experience with conflict resolution? How does that help you run a server like Discord?
There's a lot of conflict in the server that happens, but if I know I'm right, I'm not just going to stay silent and giving up. I will fight for it.
Question 34. Were you always good at drawing? Like, did it come natural to you? Or did you have to self-teach yourself or even study the discipline before you were able to get it?
Like I said before, it started as a hobby in which I gradually improved in it, taking a class for it, and now I can draw decently. I'm not a genius like Da Vinci, but I'm just a regular person.
Question 35. What type of drawing are you best suited for and why?
Anime style drawing or chibi is my best, but I can also do detailed art of mecha or monster.
You know, I know what it's like to be a host of MC Anime because I do it every day. So now the question is, question 36. What is it like designing the MC Anime cover art? What do you get from it, and how does that give you more experience?
Mixed cover art is fun. I remember when you said that one of your podcast listeners complained about the poor logo in the cover art, so I decided to help and get paid well.
Well, I kind of know this answer. I think you're good at drawing, but here's an honest answer I need from you. Question 37. How good do you think you are at drawing?
2 out of 10, I still have a lot to learn.
What is the time where you... Question 38. What is the time where you felt as an equal team member? Meaning you are an equal to someone else working in the server that you were working in.
I'm always feel equal whenever I'm in a team to everyone. There's no superiority complex or anything. teamwork lead you further than being alone.
Question 39. What is your advice on first-time drawers or server owners?
For artists, it's simple, just don't give up. Sometimes you would reach a point where you can't draw anymore. Take a little break, but don't stop. For server owners, you got to have a charismatic person and a purpose of the server. Building a community is fun, but as long as you have it for a purpose, let it be gaming server, clan, or anything.
Technology played my skills as a podcast host. Absolutely, technology plays a role in my job as a podcast host. For the simple reason that I need the technology in order for people to listen to the podcast. Because I need the RSS feed, upload to the RSS feed. I need to put the cover art design so it doesn't only have my logo. Because if I don't, I'll just have a default image of my logo with my podcast. That's not what I want. Plus the title, description, and individual tags, and the play button for the audio. So technology is super important for podcasting. So this brings me to question number 40, the last question. Does technology play a role in your skills concerning management and digital designing? If so, what is that role?
Yes, it makes things so much easier. You can always do the old-fashioned way, but trying new tech would save your time greatly.
Alright guys, so this concludes this particular Q&A session of Liz, my MC Anime cover art designer, and her experience in server management, cover art design, and overall drawing as an art form. Thank you for viewing in for this particular episode. You can find me on all streaming platforms such as Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. Also, if you want to look it up, it's MC Anime Podcast. Google search that, and it'll bring up related websites to MC Anime Podcast. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Facebook is Blog MC Anime. That's what specifically is the social media handle. Twitter is Mason Kalan, at Mason Kalan. And then if you don't already support us on Patreon, please support MC Anime Podcast on Patreon. And there's different tiers for different levels. So please, if you like MC Anime Podcast, please support us. And I hope to see you soon on Patreon and any other platform that our audience members go to. Thank you so much and enjoy your time. Goes. 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 Goes.
This concludes another episode of MC Anime Podcast. MC Anime Podcast is available on podcast directories like Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. We also have our website at mcanimepodcast.com. If you want to directly support us, then follow Patreon blog MC Anime. Finally, if you want services for hire, then we're available on Fiverr for audio and video production, graphic design, idea consulting, and blog and article writing.